Ladies and gentlemen, there's a principle we often overlook in the pursuit of connection and validation, and that is the necessity of guarding our private lives. In an age of oversharing, fueled by social media and casual relationships, it's easy to forget that not every aspect of your personal life is meant to be displayed, dissected, or distributed. Why? Because sharing too much of yourself, your fears, your dreams, your struggles, places you in a position of vulnerability, and vulnerability, while sometimes a strength, can also be a liability. If you indiscriminately reveal the intricacies of your life to those who have not earned your trust, you expose yourself to judgment, criticism, and perhaps most dangerously, manipulation. Boundaries, my friends, are not barriers. They're bridges. Bridges that connect us to others in meaningful and deliberate ways. Without them, we risk losing control over who we are. Think of it this way: if you let anyone and everyone walk through the door of your life, eventually someone is bound to leave it in disarray. Boundaries keep that door secured, only opening it for those who respect what's behind it. Sharing personal details indiscriminately can expose you to a range of vulnerabilities that many people fail to consider until it's too late. While the act of sharing might feel like a step toward connection or relief, it carries inherent risks that can have significant consequences for your emotional, psychological, and even social well-being. When you reveal the intimate aspects of your life to others, you give them access to parts of yourself that are deeply personal, parts that require care, understanding, and respect. Not everyone who hears your story will handle it with the integrity it deserves, and therein lies the danger. One of the most immediate risks of sharing too much is the potential for misunderstanding. People bring their own biases, experiences, and judgments to the table, and when they hear your personal struggles or secrets, they may interpret them through a lens that distorts the truth. What you perceive as a vulnerable confession might be seen by someone else as a weakness, a flaw, or even a failure. Once misinterpretations are formed, they can shape the way others view you, often in ways that are difficult to reverse. Another significant concern is the possibility of manipulation. By opening up about your fears, insecurities, or ambitions, you may inadvertently provide someone with the tools to exploit you. Not everyone has your best interests at heart. In some cases, people may use the information you've shared to their advantage, turning your vulnerabilities into leverage. For example, they might exploit your fears to gain control in a relationship, or they could twist your words to harm your reputation in a professional or social setting. The more personal details you share, the more ammunition you potentially provide to those who might seek to manipulate you. There's also the issue of judgment, both overt and subtle. When you share your personal life, you open yourself up to scrutiny, and not everyone will approach your experiences with empathy or understanding. People might judge your decisions, your feelings, or your past, often without having the full context of your story. This judgment can manifest as criticism, pity, or even condescension, leaving you feeling invalidated or exposed. It's worth noting that judgment doesn't always come from malicious intent. Even well-meaning individuals can unintentionally make you feel misunderstood or diminished when they interpret your story through their own limited perspective. The act of sharing personal details can also create a sense of dependency or obligation in relationships. When you open up to someone, especially about deeply personal matters, it can shift the dynamics of your connection. You might feel indebted to that person for listening, or they might feel burdened by the responsibility of carrying your secrets. This imbalance can complicate relationships, leading to feelings of resentment, guilt, or discomfort on either side. Additionally, sharing too much can dilute the intimacy and significance of your experiences. When personal stories are shared indiscriminately, they risk losing their meaning. Vulnerability is a precious thing. It carries weight and depth precisely because it is not meant to be given away freely. When you share intimate details with everyone, those details no longer hold the same value. They become just another piece of information, stripped of the profound connection they could have fostered in the right context. It's also important to consider the long-term implications of sharing. What you reveal today might not seem significant in the moment, but it could have unforeseen consequences in the future. Personal information has a way of lingering, whether through social media, gossip, or even memory. Once something is shared, it's no longer entirely under your control. Even well-intentioned friends might inadvertently repeat what you've said. And in a world where privacy is increasingly difficult to maintain, what you share can follow you in ways you never anticipated. Beyond the social risks, there's an internal cost to oversharing as well. When you habitually seek validation or support from others by sharing your personal life, you may inadvertently undermine your own ability to process and resolve your experiences independently. The act of sharing becomes a shortcut to relief, bypassing the inner work that is often necessary for genuine growth and healing. Over time, this reliance on external validation can erode your sense of self-sufficiency, leaving you more vulnerable and dependent on others for emotional stability. In contrast, maintaining a level of privacy allows you to preserve the sanctity of your inner world. It creates a space where you can reflect, grow, and process your experiences without the interference of external judgment or influence. Privacy empowers you to take ownership of your story, to decide when and how it is shared, and to protect the parts of yourself that are most vulnerable. And by being selective about what you share and with whom, you retain control over your narrative and safeguard your emotional well-being. Ultimately, the act of sharing personal details is not inherently wrong, but it must be approached with caution and intention. The vulnerability of sharing lies not in the act itself, but in the indiscriminate manner in which it is often done. By recognizing the potential risks and taking deliberate steps to protect yourself, you can navigate your relationships with greater confidence, security, and self-respect. The establishment of boundaries in your personal life is not only a practical necessity, but also a deeply empowering act that protects your autonomy and mental well-being. Boundaries are often misunderstood as walls that isolate or separate you from others, but in reality, they are essential structures that help define who you are, what you stand for, and what you're willing to tolerate in your interactions and relationships. Far from being barriers, boundaries act as guidelines that allow for healthier, more respectful connections while preserving your sense of self. Without boundaries, you risk becoming a passive participant in your own life, allowing others to dictate your actions, emotions, or priorities. Imagine living without any sense of limits. Your time, energy, and emotions would be freely available for others to use or misuse, leaving you drained and disconnected from your own needs. Boundaries are the mechanisms through which you assert your right to choose how much of yourself to share and where to draw the line. They act as a safeguard, preventing others from intruding into spaces that are not meant for them and ensuring that your individuality remains intact. When you set clear boundaries, you also communicate your values to the people around you. This clarity not only helps others understand your expectations, but also fosters mutual respect. For instance, when you express that certain topics, behaviors, or actions are off limits, you create an environment where interactions are more likely to be respectful and considerate. People who genuinely value your presence will honor those boundaries, while those who disregard them reveal their lack of respect for your individuality. In this way, boundaries become a powerful filter, helping you identify relationships that are worth nurturing and those that might be toxic or one-sided. Maintaining boundaries also plays a critical role in managing your emotional health. When you allow others to cross your limits, whether through demands on your time, unsolicited advice, or invasions of privacy, it can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, or even burnout. Over time, this emotional strain can accumulate, negatively impacting your mental and physical well-being. Boundaries act as a form of emotional self-care, enabling you to prioritize your needs without guilt or hesitation. They empower you to say no when necessary, ensuring that you have the time and energy to focus on what truly matters to you. One of the most overlooked aspects of boundaries is how they contribute to self-respect. When you enforce your limits, you affirm to yourself and others that your feelings, preferences, and time are valuable. This act of self-assertion strengthens your confidence and sense of worth. Conversely, neglecting to set boundaries can erode your self-esteem, as you may find yourself consistently putting others' needs above your own or feeling unimportant in your own life. Boundaries are a declaration that you deserve respect, not just from others, but also from yourself. It's also important to recognize that boundaries are not rigid, immovable constructs. They can and should be adaptable, evolving alongside your relationships, circumstances, and personal growth. What might be an appropriate boundary in one context may need adjustment in another. For example, the level of openness you allow in a close friendship might differ from what you permit in a professional relationship. This flexibility ensures that your boundaries remain relevant and effective, supporting your well-being in a variety of situations. Establishing boundaries can be challenging, particularly if you're not accustomed to asserting yourself or if you fear conflict. Many people worry that setting limits will make them appear unkind, uncooperative, or even selfish. However, the truth is that boundaries are an act of kindness, both to yourself and to others. By clearly defining your limits, you reduce the likelihood of misunderstandings, resentment, or unmet expectations. You give others the opportunity to engage with you in a way that is constructive and respectful, rather than inadvertently crossing lines they didn't know existed. Another key benefit of boundaries is that they encourage others to develop their own sense of responsibility. When you consistently accommodate others at the expense of your own well-being, you may inadvertently foster dependency or enable unhealthy behavior. Boundaries create a sense of accountability, reminding others that they must take ownership of their actions and emotions rather than relying on you to meet all their needs. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also promotes a more balanced dynamic where both parties feel empowered and respected. In professional settings, boundaries are especially crucial. The workplace often presents situations where personal and professional lines can blur, leading to stress or conflict. Setting boundaries around your workload, communication, and availability ensures that you can maintain a healthy work-life balance while still meeting your responsibilities. For example, clearly defining when you are and aren't available for work matters, helps prevent burnout, and reinforces your commitment to self-care. Ultimately, boundaries are a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. They are a way of honoring your own needs, values, and priorities, ensuring that you remain true to who you are, even in the face of external pressures. By establishing and maintaining boundaries, you create a life that is more aligned with your goals and aspirations, rather than one that is dictated by the expectations or demands of others. This alignment is what enables you to live with integrity and purpose, fostering a deeper sense of fulfillment and contentment. In conclusion, boundaries are not about exclusion. They are about definition. They help you carve out a space where you can thrive, free from unnecessary interference or imposition. By respecting your own limits and communicating them effectively to others, you not only protect your well-being, but also enhance the quality of your relationships. Boundaries are an act of self-respect, a tool for empowerment, and a cornerstone of a balanced and meaningful life. Selective sharing is one of the most effective ways to build trust in relationships, fostering deeper, more meaningful connections without compromising your sense of privacy or autonomy. At its core, selective sharing is about intentionality. It involves making thoughtful decisions about what personal information to reveal, when to reveal it, and to whom. By being deliberate in how you share your personal life, you create an environment where trust can grow naturally, rooted in mutual respect and understanding, unless we don't trust you. When you share selectively, you establish boundaries that guide the flow of personal information, ensuring that it reaches only those who have earned the right to hear it. Trust is not something that should be freely given or assumed. It must be built over time through consistent actions and shared experiences. By withholding certain details of your life until trust has been established, you protect yourself from unnecessary vulnerability, while also giving others the opportunity to demonstrate their reliability and integrity. This gradual process of selective sharing mirrors the development of trust itself. Slow, deliberate, and built on a foundation of mutual effort. And One of the key benefits of selective sharing is that it allows you to test the waters in relationships. When you share a small, less vulnerable piece of yourself with someone, you can observe how they respond. Do they listen attentively? Do they respect your confidentiality? Do they offer empathy and support? Or do they dismiss your feelings? These early interactions provide valuable insights into a person's character and intentions, helping you determine whether they are worthy of deeper trust. This incremental approach minimizes the risk of betrayal or misunderstanding, as you're not exposing your most sensitive vulnerabilities to someone who may not be capable of handling them with care. Selective sharing also reinforces the idea that your personal life is a privilege, not a public good. When you treat your experiences and emotions as valuable, you set a standard for how others should treat them as well. This mindset helps cultivate respect in relationships as people come to understand that the parts of your life you choose to share are not given lightly. In this way, selective sharing becomes a form of self-respect, signaling to others that your trust is something to be earned and not taken for granted. Another important aspect of selective sharing is that it fosters a sense of intimacy in relationships. When you reveal personal information to someone who has demonstrated their trustworthiness, it creates a bond that feels special and unique. The act of sharing becomes meaningful precisely because it is not indiscriminate. It carries weight and significance. This deepens the connection between you and the other person, as they come to appreciate the vulnerability and trust you've extended to them. Intimacy is not about sharing everything with everyone. It's about sharing the right things with the right people at the right time. Furthermore, selective sharing helps protect the sanctity of your inner world. Not every thought, emotion, or experience needs to be externalized or validated by others. By choosing what to keep private and what to share, you maintain a sense of autonomy over your narrative. This autonomy is crucial for personal growth, as it allows you to process and reflect on your experiences without the influence or interference of outside opinions. Your inner life remains yours, a place where you can cultivate self-awareness and resilience without feeling the need to expose every aspect of yourself to others. It's also worth noting that selective sharing is not about deception or withholding information out of fear or distrust. Rather, it's about exercising discernment and being mindful of the impact that sharing can have on your relationships and well-being. There's a difference between being honest and being transparent. Honesty means being truthful in what you share, while transparency implies revealing everything without discretion. In other words, transparency implies revealing everything without discretion. Selective sharing strikes a balance between these two extremes, allowing you to be authentic while still protecting your boundaries. In a practical sense, selective sharing can also help you avoid the pitfalls of oversharing, which can sometimes backfire in relationships. Oversharing often stems from a desire for quick intimacy or validation, but it can overwhelm others or create an imbalance in the relationship. When you reveal too much too soon, you risk alienating the other person or making them feel uncomfortable. Additionally, oversharing can dilute the significance of your personal experiences, as the act of revealing them becomes less meaningful when done indiscriminately. Selective sharing, on the other hand, ensures that your personal disclosures are intentional and impactful, fostering deeper connections without overwhelming the other person. Another advantage of selective sharing is its role in managing expectations. When you share only what is necessary or appropriate in a given context, you avoid creating unnecessary complications or misunderstandings. For example, in a professional setting, sharing too much about your personal life might blur the lines between your work and private spheres, potentially leading to conflicts or a loss of credibility. By being mindful of what you share, you maintain a level of professionalism and clarity in your interactions, ensuring that your relationships remain balanced and focused. Lastly, selective sharing empowers you to take control of your narrative. In any relationship, you have the right to decide how much of yourself to reveal and how much to keep private. This control allows you to shape how others perceive you and ensures that you are not defined solely by your vulnerabilities, or personal struggles. By sharing selectively, you present a fuller, more balanced version of yourself, one that reflects not only your challenges, but also your strengths, values, and aspirations. In conclusion, selective sharing is a powerful tool for building trust and fostering meaningful connections. It allows you to protect your boundaries, maintain your autonomy, and create relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and understanding. By being intentional in what you share and with whom, you ensure that your personal life remains a source of strength rather than vulnerability, empowering you to navigate your relationships with confidence and integrity. Oversharing is a habit that many fall into, especially in today's hyper-connected world where personal details are casually displayed in conversations, social media posts, and casual interactions. While the impulse to share stems from a desire for connection, understanding, or validation, the unintended consequences of oversharing often outweigh its immediate benefits. It's a paradox. By sharing too much, too often, or with the wrong people, you can unintentionally diminish the significance of your own experiences, weaken your self-respect, and even compromise your relationships. When you share personal details indiscriminately, you risk reducing their emotional value. Your personal stories, struggles, and achievements are part of your identity. They hold meaning because they are tied to your journey and growth. When shared selectively, these stories can inspire trust, intimacy, or understanding in others. However, when you divulge these same details without careful thought, their significance becomes diluted. For example, if you habitually share your fears or challenges with everyone you meet, those moments cease to feel personal or profound. Instead, they become mere anecdotes, data points in a sea of casual exchanges, stripped of the depth and vulnerability they might otherwise convey. Oversharing can also erode your self-respect over time. When you reveal too much to others without consideration, you inadvertently send a message to yourself and others that your personal experiences are not worth safeguarding. Respecting your own privacy is a form of valuing yourself, acknowledging that not everything you think, feel, or experience needs to be put on display. It's about recognizing that your inner world has boundaries and that those boundaries deserve to be upheld. By sharing indiscriminately, you risk undermining your sense of dignity, leaving yourself feeling exposed or even ashamed when you realize that you've revealed more than you intended. A significant danger of oversharing lies in the unintended consequences of vulnerability. Vulnerability, when shared with the right person, can foster deep and meaningful connections. But when shared with the wrong person or in the wrong context, it can leave you open to judgment, gossip, or even manipulation. Not everyone is equipped to handle your personal stories with the care they deserve. Some may use the information against you, while others may simply misunderstand or trivialize what you've shared. The more personal details you broadcast, the more opportunities you create for others to misinterpret, misuse, or exploit that information. Oversharing can also create imbalances in relationships. When one person consistently divulges intimate details while the other maintains their privacy, the relationship dynamic can shift in unintended ways. The oversharer may begin to feel overly exposed or dependent on the listener's validation, while the listener might feel overwhelmed or burdened by the level of intimacy. This imbalance can lead to discomfort or even resentment on both sides, weakening the foundation of the relationship. Relationships thrive on mutual respect and balanced vulnerability, not on one-sided disclosures that leave one person feeling overexposed. Another issue with oversharing is that it often blurs the line between connection and validation. While sharing personal details can indeed foster intimacy, oversharing frequently stems from a deeper need for external affirmation. You might share a personal struggle or success not because you genuinely wish to connect with someone, but because you're seeking their approval, sympathy, or praise. This reliance on external validation can become a slippery slope, as it places your sense of self-worth in the hands of others. Over time, this dependency erodes your ability to find fulfillment and confidence within yourself. Social media in particular has amplified the tendency to overshare. Platforms designed to connect us often encourage users to broadcast the minutiae of their lives, blurring the boundaries between public and private. While it might feel satisfying to post about your personal milestones, struggles, or opinions in the moment, it's worth considering the long-term impact of these disclosures. Once shared, your personal details are no longer entirely under your control. They exist in the digital sphere, where they can be interpreted, archived, or even used against you in ways you may not anticipate. Oversharing in such a public forum can lead to regret, as the context of your words may change over time, or as the audience expands beyond your original intent. Oversharing also risks trivializing the shared experience of vulnerability. Vulnerability is most powerful when it is intentional and shared in a safe, supportive context. When it becomes habitual or indiscriminate, it loses its meaning. The act of sharing deeply personal experiences becomes less about genuine connection and more about routine or habit, stripping it of the emotional weight that fosters closeness and trust. Vulnerability should be reserved for moments and relationships that deserve it, rather than being treated as a casual or automatic response. There's also the psychological toll of oversharing to consider. Constantly sharing your innermost thoughts, feelings, and experiences can leave you feeling emotionally drained. When you expose too much of yourself to others, you might feel as though you've lost a part of your identity or that you've sacrificed your privacy. This emotional exhaustion can lead to regret, self-doubt, or even anxiety as you replay conversations and wonder how your disclosures were received or interpreted. In contrast, cultivating the discipline to avoid oversharing allows you to maintain control over your narrative. By carefully choosing what to share and with whom, you preserve the significance of your experiences while protecting your emotional well-being. Selective sharing creates a sense of mystery and depth, inviting others to connect with you on a more meaningful level without overwhelming them or yourself. It allows you to strike a balance between openness and discretion, fostering relationships that are built on trust and respect rather than on a flood of information. In conclusion, while the impulse to share is natural, oversharing often leads to unintended consequences that can undermine your self-respect, emotional well-being, and relationships. By exercising discernment in how you share your personal life, you preserve the significance of your experiences, protect your vulnerabilities, and foster more meaningful connections. It's not about withholding or hiding who you are. It's about recognizing that your personal story is a valuable treasure, one that deserves to be shared thoughtfully and with care. Privacy is a cornerstone of self-empowerment, allowing individuals to cultivate a life that is truly their own, free from unnecessary external scrutiny or interference. In a world increasingly driven by openness and interconnectedness, maintaining a private life can feel like swimming against the tide. However, safeguarding your personal life is not just an act of self-preservation. It is a profound expression of self-respect and autonomy. A private life allows you to maintain control over your narrative, protecting your emotional well-being and enabling you to pursue your goals without external distractions or pressures. When you choose to keep aspects of your personal life private, you retain a critical degree of control over your identity. Your life is composed of moments, decisions, and relationships that define who you are, and not all of these elements are meant to be shared with others. Privacy gives you the space to explore and understand these aspects of yourself without the influence or judgment of others. It provides a sanctuary for introspection where you can reflect, grow, and make decisions based on your values and priorities rather than external expectations. This control over your own narrative is essential for self-empowerment, as it ensures that you are the author of your story, not a passive participant being shaped by outside forces. A private life also shields you from the often harsh and unsolicited opinions of others. Sharing too much about your personal experiences or decisions can open the door to criticism, misunderstanding, or unwelcome advice. While feedback can be valuable in the right context, constant exposure to the opinions of others can create confusion or self-doubt, pulling you away from your inner compass. Privacy acts as a buffer, allowing you to filter out unnecessary noise and focus on what truly matters to you. It gives you the freedom to navigate your life on your terms without feeling pressured to conform to the expectations or judgments of others. One of the most profound benefits of a private life is the peace and stability it brings. When you limit the amount of personal information you share, you reduce the likelihood of drama, gossip, or conflict in your life. This quietude is not about isolation or secrecy. It's about creating an environment where you can thrive without being bogged down by unnecessary distractions. A private life allows you to focus on your goals, relationships, and personal growth without the added complications that come from overexposure. It's a form of self-care that fosters a sense of calm and balance, helping you maintain a clearer perspective on what truly matters. Privacy also allows you to cultivate deeper, more meaningful relationships. When you reserve the most personal aspects of your life for those who have earned your trust, you create a sense of intimacy and exclusivity that strengthens your connections. Sharing personal details with a trusted few rather than broadcasting them to the world ensures that your vulnerability is met with care and respect. This selectivity not only protects you from potential betrayal, but also fosters a sense of reciprocity, as those you choose to confide in are more likely to value and protect your trust. Moreover, a private life empowers you to focus on your ambitions without external interference. When your plans, goals, or aspirations are kept private, they remain free from the influence of others' opinions or skepticism. Sharing your dreams prematurely can sometimes invite negativity or doubt, which may undermine your confidence or motivation. By keeping your aspirations private, you create a space where they can grow and evolve organically, fueled by your own determination and vision rather than shaped by the expectations of others. This focus is particularly important in achieving long-term goals, as it allows you to remain steadfast in your efforts without being swayed by external distractions. A private life also fosters resilience and self-reliance. When you maintain a degree of privacy, you learn to rely on your own judgment and inner strength rather than seeking constant validation or support from others. This independence is empowering, as it helps you develop a stronger sense of self and the confidence to navigate life's challenges on your own terms. Privacy encourages you to trust yourself, to make decisions that align with your values, and to take responsibility for your own happiness and well-being. In addition to these personal benefits, privacy also protects your relationships from unnecessary strain. When too much of your personal life is shared publicly, it can invite unwanted scrutiny or interference from others, which may create tension or conflict in your relationships. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you create a protective boundary around your relationships, allowing them to flourish without external pressures. This discretion is especially important in maintaining healthy dynamics with your partner, family, or close friends, as it ensures that your connections are built on mutual respect and understanding, rather than being influenced by outside opinions. Another advantage of a private life is the freedom it provides to reinvent yourself. When your personal details are not constantly on display, you have the flexibility to evolve and grow without feeling tethered to a specific image or identity. This freedom allows you to explore new interests, take risks, and make changes without the fear of judgment or backlash. Privacy creates a safe space where you can experiment and adapt, paving the way for personal growth and transformation. Finally, a private life fosters a sense of mystery and intrigue. When you don't reveal everything about yourself, you invite others to approach you with curiosity and respect, rather than assumptions or preconceived notions. This sense of mystery not only enhances your personal relationships, but also reinforces your sense of individuality, reminding you that you are more than the sum of your shared experiences. In conclusion, a private life is a powerful tool for self-empowerment, providing the space and freedom to live authentically, grow intentionally, and maintain control over your narrative. It protects your emotional well-being, fosters meaningful relationships, and allows you to focus on your goals without external distractions or pressures. By valuing and safeguarding your privacy, you honor your individuality and create a life that is deeply rooted in self-respect, autonomy, and personal fulfillment. In conclusion, safeguarding your personal life is not merely about secrecy or isolation. It is a profound act of self-respect, self-preservation, and intentional living. By being mindful of what you share with whom and why, you protect your emotional well-being, maintain your autonomy, and foster trust in your relationships. Privacy empowers you to cultivate deeper connections, focus on your goals without unnecessary distractions, and preserve the sanctity of your inner world. It enables you to navigate life on your terms, free from the weight of external scrutiny or validation. Ultimately, your personal life is a treasure, one that holds the essence of your identity and the depth of your experiences. It deserves thoughtful stewardship, shared only with those who have earned your trust and who genuinely value your vulnerability. By embracing privacy, you strike a balance between openness and discretion, ensuring that you remain the author of your story. In doing so, you build a life of integrity, resilience, and fulfillment, a life that reflects not the expectations of others, but the truth of who you are.